How's this, Stu? This is another inbox review of a rather unique aircraft, one of only two which were ever built. Basically, it was a flying wing and was designed, well, believe it or not, maybe stealthy as well. It was actually initially designed by two brothers by the name of Horten, and they actually approached the aircraft designer Alexander Lippisch and actually coalesced on the actual program itself in the early 30s, and actually approached Lippisch around about 1943 into the design. And he, with the benefit of his experience, they actually went on to build a few more actual prototypes to air test, and then it was fermented to actually put this design towards it as a flying jet aircraft with a wing. They approached Goring, and Goring was so entranced by the project that he actually guaranteed it would go into production after seeing an air test. The first prototype did fly, and on its third flight, unfortunately, it crashed, killing its well-known test pilot Kurt Zwiller in the process. However, they did actually build a second prototype, but by the time it was ready, the Allied forces were obviously liberating Germany, and they had to evacuate the airfield rather quickly, and left the only remaining prototype behind, which was discovered by the Allies when they liberated the airfield. The only prototype that was left was actually shipped back to the States to be air tested, but they never actually got around to air testing it at all. And it still remains in storage at the Smithsonian Museum in fair pieces. But again, like the Mosquito, it was actually made of wood, so hence it made it fast. And recently I saw a YouTube program where some guys actually built a full-scale replica out of the wood to test its stealth abilities, and believe it or not, it was actually stealthy. So if this thing had actually gone into production, the outcome of the war could have been totally different, but thankfully it didn't go into production. But from this, we've today now got the B-2 stealth bomber, so there you go, food for thought. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to get on with the review of the kit itself. This was issued around about, I think, 2000 or around about 1999, and I snapped one up some 5 years later. The kit number, if you're interested in getting one, is 04312. That's 04312. And I do excuse about the background noise, but I've got my housemate who's got one of his French friends over at the moment, so bear with me. On the illustration, you've actually got a fictitious picture of the two Hortens engaging a Lancaster over the Reich. Thankfully, that never took place. On the side of the box, you've actually got an illustration of the assembled kit, as you can see there. So it looks rather nice, but you can get some aftermarket sets just to enhance the cockpit detail even more. And then on the other side of the box, you've got the aircraft history itself. Alright. The instruction sheet again has a photo of the actual assembled kit, which actually looks rather nice. And having looked at the kit, it's going to make a super little one as well. Then you've got a brief history of the aircraft itself. Okay. Then you've got the normal format with the instructions. Read before you build, etc, etc. And then you've got the colour callouts. Now, and some of these, they're suggesting you mixed colours. I think it would be far easier if you've got the Luftwaffe set by AK, because the colours on those are far more accurate. So food for thought there, guys. Alright. Then we go on to the sprue trees, which you see there, all formatted, etc. And then the first part of the process, as is per usual with most aircraft kits, is the cockpit assembly. You build the internal framework with the control levers, which you see there, and then the floor. Okay. Then the next process is adding more of the internal framework to the cockpit. Then the assembly of the jet pipes, followed with the assembly of the actual main rotors and housings, which you can see there, to the top part of the fuselage. Then the assembly of the M103 machine guns, which was a major development and major factor of the aircraft. And then the assembly of the gun bay and internal framework to the lower part of the fuselage. Then add the jet pipes to the front of the fuselage and the air intakes, which is assembled to the main fuselage. Then the internal framework for the undercarriage. And then you put button the two fuselage halves up. Then the wing assembly, say no more. Next page, you've got to put the wing assembly to the main fuselage, then the assembly of the nose wheel, which was like a tricycle undercarriage, and funnily enough the aircraft actually stood at a very steep angle, which must have made taxiing quite difficult. Then you got the assembly of the main bogies, which you see there. Then the nose wheel is added to the main fuselage, along with the main bogies and the undercarriage doors. And the engine, and then you have the option of having it in flight, but again there is no stand in the kit, regretfully. Again, you'll have to make one up, either scratch build it or source one. And then you've got the machine gun covers there put onto the fuselage, and finally the cockpit and guns, as well as the pitot tube. The colour callouts are two options, both fictitious, Luftwaffe 46. So if you've got any Luftwaffe 46 aircraft modelers out there, this is going to be an ideal subject. First off, you've got the Horten 9 of Jagdgeschwader 400 Rot 13, showing you the placement of all the stencils and obviously the Knight's Crosses. Again, same thing, you've got another example from the same Jagdgeschwader of Blau 4. Which again has got the Knight's Crosses as well as all the stencils. Alright, so that's the instruction sheet done. Now for the purpose of video, I actually took all the assemblies out of the kit. Okay, first off we're going to have a look at the cockpit. Quite simple to mask, not a lot to it, beautifully clear and crisp. Could come up with a nice bit of clear if you dip it in that. And probably easy to mask as well, but again I think you can solve some masking sets for this. Alright guys, and then you've got the wing assemblies, beautifully crisply moulded, and if I get the lamp down a bit further you can actually see the detail a bit more. Here we go. Lovely recessed panel lines, so that will come up nicely with a wash. Crisp and clear and not an ounce of flash. Alright, more so when you see this sprue. This is the actual fuselage halves. Look how crisp and detailed they are. And that really, guys, is the reason I got this kit. I just thought it was so superbly moulded when I actually looked through the box in the model shop, and that did it for me. That's why I snapped it up. Then you've got the engine housings, and you've got the blades there, which you see, as well as the actual exhaust stubs. Okay. Then the undercarriage bays, and the Mark 103 machine guns. Look how detailed they are. Very crisp, beautifully done. And obviously you've got the radar pitot tubes which go underneath the aircraft. And then final sprue is all the undercarriage assemblies, which you see there. Again, beautifully detailed. You might be able to add a little bit of wiring here and there, I don't know. Okay, and then you've got the internal framework for the main bogies. Okay, and there's your undercarriage assembly. A lovely amount of detail there. Again, you could do that, come up nice with a wash. There you go, guys, and obviously you've got the main nacelles in the front of the fuselage. I'll put it up here where you can see it more. Beautifully detailed. Absolutely lovely. This, my friends, is going to make a beautiful little kit, and I know another YouTube modeler recently did a video about a year or so on one that he built, and it did make a super little kit. So that, my friends, is also the assemblies done. Now we'll look at the old decal sheet. Again, beautifully printed. You've even got detail for the actual control bay, which you see there. if I get it still. Sorry, my finger getting in the way, guys. You got all the stencils there as well, beautifully made. Lovely little kit this is going to make. So quite cheap. I think they're about 8 or 9 quid. I'm not sure. Check it out. I bought this one at the time for about £8.99. So good value for money on this unusual subject. Quite unique aircraft. But as I say, if you want to learn more about this, look on Wikipedia or check out the YouTube video on the history of YouTube for the history of this aircraft. So until then, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll see you on the next review.